Now I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been genuinely excited for a new video game release in a very long time. The only exception to that is 2 years ago with Elden Ring, because From Software is just that good of a company and they haven't let me down in over 10 years. So of course I was pretty pumped for that one. Now that doesn't mean that I haven't enjoyed a few recent games. I definitely have. They were just games that I didn't have on my radar or wasn't particularly excited for ahead of their release, but games that I decided to try out and ended up having a bit of fun with. Some of which have been remakes of older titles, but I'll get to those in a minute. If you've been watching my channel for the past couple of years, you know I'm someone that appreciates the finer details in games. Rich environmental storytelling, beautiful art direction over graphical fidelity, compelling narratives with great dialogue, and badass memorable characters. And I've realized over the last few years that all of these things are found primarily in older games. The occasional new game releases with a few of these elements, but games that check every single box on this list are games like Dishonored, Bioshock, the Batman Arkham series, Skyrim, and so on. All games that are well over 10 years old. And one of the most important reasons older games like this have a leg up over recent titles is that they're safe from the infestation of social politics and woke ideology. Now that doesn't mean games weren't political. Games have always been political to a degree. The Bioshock games, for example, are certainly political, with the first game being a critique of objectivism and capitalism, and also just a widespread critique of authoritarianism. Bioshock 2 is a critique of socialism and collectivism, and Bioshock Infinite is a critique of religious extremism and American exceptionalism. A lot of these critiques are inherently left-wing. Some of them, like the case in Bioshock 2, might be considered a critique from a right-wing point of view, but mostly the games are left-wing. Yet there's a reason these games aren't considered woke by most people, and that's because they leave it up to the player to be smart enough to interpret and understand what the game is trying to say. The game isn't afraid to also critique its own message at times and show their own weakness. They weren't inserting modern-day talking points and TikTok ideologies into the character design and dialogue. It allows the player to try and see things from all angles. This is why Andrew Ryan, for example, is a fantastic villain, the same way people talk about Thanos from the Marvel films. There's a layer of understanding where the villain's coming from, some level of relatability. Maybe they aren't entirely wrong with their thinking, but they went about things in the wrong way. And that's how you can make a game political without being woke, or its opposite. Plenty of older games had a lot of left-wing undertones and messages, like Fallout New Vegas. But is that game considered woke? Most people would say no. In fact, if you like some of these older left-leaning games in 2024, the current day woke crowd calls you a right-wing fascist, which makes absolutely no sense. But that's how far modern day social politics has declined. And if you compare a game like Bioshock or New Vegas to the modern left-wing slop of the last few years, you really start to see how one of these things is a creative, artistic, political commentary, and the other is straightforward propaganda force-fed into every facet of the game design. So when people say they want politics out of games, I don't fully agree with that. I like games with political ideas. Most games have always had them. But it has to be done right. And no, that doesn't mean it has to be politics I agree with. You just have to do it in a classy, realistic, and non-preachy way. As for social politics, this is where I think the problem truly lies. There's always been gay characters in video games, there's always been female protagonists, and there's always been people of color as protagonists and characters. But if you read the mainstream gaming news outlets lately, you'd think that there's never been anything but white dudes in video games until Sweet Baby Inc. swooped in and saved the industry. But of course, that's not true, and any real gamer already knows this. The difference is, when we had a gay character in a game, they were just a gay character. A female character was just a female character. A black guy, a Chinese guy, a Mexican, there's no problem with this. They've been in games forever. But what's different nowadays is how they're treated. Now we must race or gender swap characters. Replace a strong white male protagonist with a toxic masculinity-based female character with probably the most impossible physique for a biological woman. Replace a Persian prince with a black guy that has a 2024 haircut. In a sequel for a game named after the main character, why not play as a black female FBI agent instead? In fact, Remedy put out a teaser trailer for Alan Wake 2 several years ago showing Saga Anderson finding Alan, and she was a white female. so they race swapped that character partway through development, likely thanks to that ESG money rolling in to hire Sweet Baby Inc. Hades 2 race swaps various Greek gods, and even gives one of them vitiligo for some reason. And the only time they race swap to a white guy is when it's a villain, like Larry Chang in the new Dead Rising remake. Characters once straight are now being confirmed as gay, transgender, or non-binary, and it's extremely obvious to anyone who isn't burying their head in the sand that this is a deliberate attack on masculinity, white men, and biological women. Some people want to be willfully ignorant on this topic, people want to deny reality, but this is exactly what's happening. Game companies are concerned with reaching quotas and performing well on their ESG scorecards in order to secure more BlackRock money. And I just want to ask those of you that defend ESG and companies like Sweet Baby Inc., do you think that BlackRock, largest asset manager in the world, trillions of dollars in assets, buying up all the homes, do you think Larry Fink and BlackRock are funding ESG and DEI out of the goodness of their hearts? Or could they be pushing all this garbage for another reason? Most people who know about BlackRock know the horrible practices they're involved in. I recommend looking into it. So do you really think that funding ESG at almost every company they invest in is being done because they're such a moral and ethical company? Or is it more likely because they want to poison the minds of the people with corrupt and destructive ideologies? They don't need more money, they just want to change the narrative to whatever suits their benefit for power. So all you need to ask yourself is, why would the most corrupt and evil corporation in the world be funding woke social ideologies in all the companies they invest in? Which unfortunately extends all the way down to video game companies. But alright, that's enough about these fucking dorks. Let's move on to remakes. One of the most popular trends in the gaming industry of the last few years is the remake, and they come in the form of reforges, reduxes, resurrections, rebirths, collections, remasters, reboots, or simply just the remake. This stands as just another example that shows older games were better, and the game publishers know it too. There's at least 3 reasons why the remake is so popular nowadays with AAA publishers. Number 1. The majority of AAA studios are creatively bankrupt. Not every AAA game released over the last few years have been bad, but I'm not hesitant to say that most of them have been extremely average to below average. Even some of the most popular franchises have been receiving underwhelming sequels that often achieve mediocre sales. Number 2. It's easier to remake a game than to develop an idea from scratch. With a lot of these remakes, the games are rebuilt from the ground up, which, yes, is no easy task. It takes a lot of time and work to recreate assets and overhaul world designs inside of a new engine, but the groundwork has already been laid. The story has already been written, the world building is done, the structure of the game is set. All that needs to happen is pushing forward on recreating it all inside a new engine, which again does take a lot of work. It's why these remakes take several years to develop, but it is still easier than a brand new idea. Number 3, nostalgia. The gaming industry and Hollywood for that matter have all been focused on selling nostalgia for the better part of a decade now, and nostalgia is certainly a powerful thing and is almost a guarantee to see a return on investment if the product is good. Some of the highest selling games of the last few years though have been remakes, collections, and remasters, even for games that don't need it. But I'm of the belief that it isn't just nostalgia or flashy photorealistic graphics that sells remakes so easily. I think older games are just better. And I want to explain a few reasons why remakes like RE4, System Shock, Dead Space, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2? Woo! Why these games are so popular with gamers. Number 1, a lot of these older games are linear. With a lot of recent remakes, they're games that are usually pretty linear by design. The Resident Evil games, Dead Space, System Shock, these are the types of games that are getting remakes most often. They aren't massive open worlds, they're slowed down, straightforward, narrative, simple gameplay type of games. And there's a lot of value in games like this. After the transition to open world, I think a lot of us really started to miss when games were more linear like this. And I wish more original titles were linear in this way as well. Like a new Splinter Cell game that isn't open world and is a proper mission-based stealth action video game, that would be perfect. Number 2, better narratives. Simply put, the narratives of these older games are far better than what studios are capable of nowadays. They weren't restricted by ESG checklists or DEI hiring. They had truly talented writers that knew how to tell a story in a unique medium such as video games. Instead of trying to copy Marvel film tropes and dialogue, stories and dialogues could be a bit more edgy. They could be offensive. And nowadays, a lot of games are very hyper sanitized. Every character is so overly nice and cringy. And unfortunately, some of these remakes ended up getting their narratives, characters, and dialogue tweaked to cater to the sensitive crowd. Even the remakes can't just be recreations. They also have to be updated for modern audiences. Number 3. Unique and memorable characters, worlds, and gameplay. So many of these older titles had such memorable characters that game studios just have a hard time of trying to replicate. The worlds they created are genuinely awesome to explore and immerse yourself in. The gameplay is usually pretty simple and straightforward, prioritizing fun and immersion over complex and unnecessary additions. So these are the reasons I believe remakes are so popular. The older game design style is really enticing right now. However, there are several downsides to remakes, like with the writing. Unfortunately, most of them end up removing a lot of the charm and disrupting the lore and world building in favor of realistic graphics, or, again, to conform to modern day social politics. Like the Demon's Souls remake, replacing this statue of a samurai knight with a generic knight, for example. And Demon's Souls remake has tons of examples just like this. Or the Resident Evil remakes, having tons of removed content, changing character designs in multiple games to ensure they're as ugly as possible now, removing anything that could be considered sexual or provocative. It's funny how game developers suddenly became these gigantic prudes when it comes to attractive female characters in games. They begin rivaling 85-year-old pastor level of prudeness when they do things like remove Miranda's butt scene in the Mass Effect remake, or turning Joanna the Babe from Perfect Dark into this chiseled man-like specimen, or Lara Croft looking like that. Christ. So long story short, yes, older games are better than new ones. Studios know this, which is why they keep trying to cash in on remakes. Gamers know this, which is why a lot of older games still have more players than new releases, and why remakes are still what get people the most excited. And every one of you know this because you can see the social politics destroying the hobby we love. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.